welcome to week 4 of Hi, welcome to week 4 of all. Hi, welcome to week 4 of Drawing with All the Senses, and so far we've been building up just basic shapes, and now we're going to take it to the next level, and we're going to explore gesture drawing. Gesture drawing is about dance, really. Might sound corny, but it's about getting your pencil to dance across that paper and figure out the inner energy of what it is we're drawing. Not the outline, but sort of to draw through this subject. You'll see in some upcoming video what I mean by that. In gesture drawing, which comes from the old Latin term from acting, which means to gesture or gesticulate, or sort of gestare is the Latin term, which is sort of an acting term for pantomime. The idea is to give clues about the essence of the action. And line of action is a term that we look at in gesture drawing too. We want to find what line or what rhythm cuts through the drawing in its inner core. So I could draw the outline of my body, or I could find the inner line or the inner balance, essence of that. And it's a three-dimensional thing. It takes some time to get a feel for it. So again, a number of you have asked to see some examples of how I approach it. It's important to note that I haven't sped up any of the video. You need to capture that gesture very quickly. You just want to react to what you see and really dance. Dance that pencil across the paper. And then from there you can begin to push and pull the drawing from the inside to the outside to the outline, from that inner core of it, and build upon that to complete very quickly a finished drawing. Alright, so we'll try some gesture. Watch the next segments here, and then there'll be an assignment at the end. One of the senses we want to tap into in Drawing with All the Senses is a sense of movement. And here's where dance and drawing kind of intersect. We're going to do what's called a gesture drawing, and a gesture drawing is about capturing the major energy, the movement of a piece. And when I say movement, it's not that the object is necessarily moving, but it has a rhythm to it. It's kind of sort of like music. So in gesture drawing, we want to very fearlessly just block out the basic forms and lines, what are called lines of action. Here the main line of action that I see is this arc that is defined by the stem. So I'm just going to pop that in. It doesn't matter if it's right or if it's perfect, because I can always react to it. And again, I'm not going for any details here. I'm going to pop in the peonies, not as finished objects, but sort of as by their emotional energy, if that sounds weird. They're beautiful, but they are just about to wilt and die, so I'm just going to get this sort of downward motion. I like this little leaf that's sort of indicating the demise of this composition. And then blocking out very loosely again where the other forms in the composition will go. Again, I'm not looking for any detail whatsoever. I'm just mapping out where things are going to get defined a little bit later on. And so there's kind of this movement to the composition. It's a scribble, is really all it is, that is capturing the energy. If I were to go for finished detail, as many people do right away when they're starting out, then the composition tends to be a bunch of different disparate parts. And also, if I make a mistake on one part, I would tend to avoid that while really kind of embellishing and flourishing this part that I really like. And that can lead to spending a lot of time making a drawing that doesn't work. Because I've only spent a couple seconds on this, if it's not working, I can start over, or I can just get out the eraser and fix things. I can go ahead and correct and redefine things at this stage. And I'm building upon the energy that is underneath, which should give the drawing a lot more life when I'm finished with it. Again, not going for details until I get some of that energy, that gesture worked out. I really want to have my pencil just dance across the page and give it rhythm, give it some music, yes I said music, and define the masses in relation to the edges of the paper, which constitute a frame for this composition. So that's gesture drawing. It's really about fearlessly scribbling and kind of exploding into the composition, not worrying about details, just mapping out where things are going to go, so that once I'm satisfied with this composition, I can begin to put in some of those details. So in the gesture, you want to rough in just very quickly the line of action that you see, sort of a line that runs through the center of it, not on the outline. So if I just make one line that sort of encapsulates where the energy, the dance of this pose goes, then I can very quickly put on top of that line, not outlines, but kind of drawing through the energy of those lines to put down some other quick lines, just react to them. Again, it's not a finished drawing, it's not an outline, it's not a careful drawing, but it captures the dance or the energy. From there, we can begin to make some corrections, right? If you can get that initial thing down quickly, then we can begin to define it a little bit more, right? And then the work we put doing those outlines or those details will again exist on a foundation that has some life to it, maybe some energy to it as well. No outlines. From there we've got energy to build from. Right? But gesture, working very quickly. Gesture. Then we make corrections. Again, if I'm worried about a finished drawing here, then I'm just going to be too afraid to rework it until it sort of sculpts right into position. Gesture. Gesture, basic shape. This might look like kind of an outline, but really just very quickly trying to get that basic stuff, and then I can begin to make corrections. Then the work I've done to place the object in the frame has some meaning, because I can build upon that, again, make corrections, build that up. And then of course with charcoal I could take out some things, so we can begin to define things a little bit better, even some light, whatever. Just very, very quickly. One thing that you may be seeing, that because I'm at a different angle than the camera, my angle might be a little bit different than what you're seeing compared to that. But that brings up a good point. It's that when we draw, we have to be careful about where our eye is in relation to the subject that we're drawing. So if we're drawing looking down at paper that's on a table, we're going to see something very, very slanted. So that's why you see a lot of artists who work at a desk that has a 45-degree angle, so that you can look kind of straight at it. So I'm standing at an easel here, and that allows my eye to be very much perpendicular with the drawing plane rather than at an angle. So you can see here there's this kind of 30-degree angle or so. Here we've got a nice 90-degree angle, and that allows us to look at our work straight on. You can see that with your hand. If you look at your hand as if you're drawing something there, you can see it's distorted. If you bring it up here, you have a whole different look. So where your eye is in relation to what you're drawing is very, very important. So it's important to set yourself up either looking at an easel, so you're standing up looking kind of at your object and your picture plane or surface at a more perpendicular angle. The idea is to capture that gesture, that essence, within 5 or 10 seconds. And it takes a little bit of practice to get up to that speed. But you have to be fearless. You have to just go and react to what it is you see, put it down on paper, and then once something is on paper, then you have the opportunity to push and pull and correct and move things around, almost like sculpting, really. So you have to be fearless, you have to be bold and brave, and just put the essence of the gesture down, and then you'll have a very quick foundation upon which to build a better drawing. gesture. I don't want to go for all those tempting little details right away. I just want to place in where things are going to be. Gesture. You can see how I'm building up this drawing, I'm working the whole drawing, not just one part of it. And again, that very quick foundation will allow me later to then go in and just tighten things up. I can go in and add highlights with my finger, darken things in. I'm just making marks that allow me to know where to work things a little bit later. Okay, so I think you get the idea. So from here, what I want you to do is find 25 objects or pets or people or anything that catches your interest and create gestures. 30 seconds at most on each of these drawings, and then post them, and then we'll talk about those. All right, thanks. We'll see you next time.